And I was mentioning your theater play, The Trial. But first, I'd like you to introduce yourself a little bit, to tell about your career as a theater director, if possible.
Well, I don't know. Theater has been in my blood, let's say, for a very long time. I started when I was 15, and we did physical theater in Slovakia, and I just fell in love with it, and it was really, really great passion of mine. And then when I moved to Prague for university, I didn't have any theater. I didn't know what to do. And then there was this program at the Faculty of Education. It was teaching English through drama. So it started as an educational thing, the whole Drama Queens. It started as a tool to help people speak English better through theater. So that's like that.
Okay, you just mentioned Drama Queens.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about this project you have, and I think it's been alive for 17 years.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it's been alive. It's pretty much adult now. It will be adult in October, I think. That's when it's. So yeah. So this is how it started, and it transformed into a theater ensemble that is a little bit, I like to say, a little bit different than a typical theater, and I've been leading it for most of that time just by myself.
And through this project, you're able to present theater plays in English in Prague.
Yeah.
And how people can participate? How can they take part in this project?
They write me.
They contact you through
social
media?
Yeah. Oh, well, through any media. I've got messages, phone calls, emails, anything. But the thing is, like, the difference is we start every year in September, and it takes us a year to prepare everything. So I don't do casting, I don't do auditions for the play. There is no process of calling people, okay, we're going to do this and that play, and you can audition and I will choose. I don't work like that. For me, the first thing is to build a group. Every year, some people leave, some people come. We always keep around 20 people, because that's a healthy number, and I don't want to go more, because it needs to be a community, and people need to know each other, and it's very, very important for me that the friendships and the relationships there are stronger than just doing a project together. Yeah. So basically, in September, many people contact me, and many people have stayed with me for 10 years now. There are people who have been with me for over 10 years, I believe. And for first 3 months, we do not touch a play. They don't know a play. We play around. We do exercises. I try to sort of pass on some basic acting techniques, and to develop sort of how to talk, how to walk, how to not talk, how to be quiet, how to breathe, how to stand, how to understand stage at its basics. And I don't know, some people have never stood on stage. The people that you saw, several of them have never been in theater before.
Well, it didn't look like that.
Yeah. So it's a long process. Yeah. So we don't do this. We meet for 2 months and we do something quickly. It's hours and hours and days and months of intensive work. And well, at the beginning not so intensive, but as we move forward, it gets very, very intense.
So it's a lot of work. And well, unfortunately, it's not possible to see this play, The Trial, nowadays. It ended in the 17th.
Yeah.
It was the last.
Well, maybe it will. We will see. We always like to repeat. We're basically, but we're limited by only one. Well, maybe two things, but mostly by one thing, and that is audience. We don't do that for profit, but none of us have this as their main job. Nobody's professional there. I'm not a professional director.
So everyone has a job, and plus they do this.
Yeah.
I have to say that that night, I think it was Sunday, it was
Okay.
full. It was completely full. There was no one
It
seat.
has to be, otherwise we can't afford to play there. These theaters that I choose are not amateur theaters. They are, and the resources that we put into production, into everything that we do, it's a bit naive maybe, but after a year of work, I want to show people that, you know, this is what it can be, that it is not an amateurish play or amateurish performance.
Again, it didn't look like that. It was a very
Thank you.
interesting play, and I think we can talk a little bit about the
Okay.
trial. I was just saying that that night there was no one empty seat. Do you think that the name Kafka helps a little bit to get the attention of the audience?
Definitely it does help. I like to think that we do have a certain following, certain fan base, but yeah, this year, many of the unknown people to us have come, and that was incredible. Every night was almost sold out, not completely. But yeah, it was always quite full, and yeah, I think the name Kafka does help.
But I imagine that that's not the only reason why so many people went to see this, right?
Well, I hope not. I hope there is something that, especially the people that know us, they know that we at least try to do something meaningful and something that they will leave with a good feeling of, not just, oh, I've supported this strange group of people, but I've seen some good theater, you know. Yep, I hope that that's the feeling that that they go through, because for me it is very important to respect the audience, and I think in art in general we forget the audience sometimes, and I've seen lots of theater that is sort of self-serving. We do it so we feel good about ourselves, and for me the biggest and the most important reason is we're telling a story. We want to tell that story to somebody. If we didn't want to tell it to somebody, we should play somewhere in our garage or something, you know.
And this somebody, is it possible that being around for so long, I assume that you know your audience more or less. Would you say that they are rather more expats or locals who attend your shows?
It's getting more expaty as we progress, I suppose. When we started 18 years ago or 17 years ago, you know, it was our friends, nobody else. It was our friends. We had voluntary donations, and the stage was built whatever I could steal from the dorm. So we would transport a table in a tram, and I took good bed sheets from my bed, and we put it there, and that was the shadow play, you know. And as we progress, a couple of years ago, I did Les Miserables, and we built a stage that is a two-story house, basically, that took 12 by 8 meters. And, well, we hope to play that again, so we'll see.
Okay, and I assume that, of course, you haven't picked Kafka only because of he's very famous. I assume that most likely you do have a link with the story he tells in the trial. Maybe you feel it's somehow related to life these days.
Oh, definitely. Every time, this is actually the question I get the most often is, why did you choose this or that play? I don't really have an exact answer for any of them, but they need to speak to me. I don't have a process of, of finding plays. I read and, oh, this would really be cool. And I start seeing pictures, and that's how it is. And with Kafka, I mean, you as a foreigner, you've been to any of the local authority, I suppose.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Is it so absurd, the Kafka's world?
I shouldn't be complaining.
No.
But yeah, I get your
but
point. It is definitely something that
Yeah.
sometimes seems unreal, and we don't
Yeah.
understand it. We think it could be way more simple, but
Yeah, and
it is not.
that's only the bureaucratic part, and then you have the absurd part, which again is not absurd anymore. And I don't like getting political or anything, but we do. I've heard this term of post-factual era, and this is a very scary thing for me. And the world we live in, we just forget science. We forget things that are proven. There are people who think that the Earth is flat, and I don't know. You know, this is very, very dangerous. And this is. And when you sort of compare it to that world, oh, you are of that circular definition, you know, it's like you are arrested because that is what you are. If you were not arrested, we wouldn't be here. But you are arrested, so we're here because we were sent to arrest you, and that's the reasoning behind it.
Do you think that this world with these theories that we hear these days is more similar to the world that Kafka described in his books?
Unfortunately, so, yeah. Scarily so, yeah. I do feel many parallels in these things when we just decide to ignore facts, or we first have an opinion, then we find a media outlet to fit that opinion, and that's what we're going to listen to. So yeah, it's we're no longer like we don't have insufficiency of information, but I think we haven't evolved yet to understand the information that we're given. I don't know.
Well, something that it's very understandable is the story you tell in your play, because when I was watching it, I was remembering the book, and there is a correlation between the two. Of course, it's very easy to remember the original story of the book when watching the play. I guess that you've heard this question before, but how do you translate those words in the book into the stage?
Well, I worked with the interpretation by Steven Berkoff. Yeah, I didn't adapt book myself, so I worked with the script because I'm not a script writer. I tried, I failed, and I'm not a writer. And so I worked with the interpretation. There are many interpretations for stage, and I read 3. I got 4, but I read 3, and sort of had to find the one that basically spoke the most to me. Excuse me, and something that where you feel that it is relevant, that the words actually translate to emotion and to audience, I would say, yeah.
And is it easier for the actors to perform when they already know the story because it's a famous one?
Yeah. It's a good question. I don't know whether it's easier for them or not.
We can ask them in another opportunity.
I don't know whether it is easier. It's a collaboration. We always try to find a way to interpret it. And you've seen one performance, and I have doubles for every character. So one day they will play one character, and the other day they will play another character. So, and I have been told that since our 2 main actors, like the actors that played Joseph K, are very emotionally and physically different, it was a different play every single time.
Okay, okay. One other interesting thing I'm remembering from your play is this sexual tension. That there is this sexual
Yeah,
energy that,
yeah.
and I assume that there is something of that in the book, and also there is something of that in Kafka's life.
Yeah,
But in your play, it was quite evident that that there was a very strong energy there.
yeah. I felt like in the script that as it was adapted, there were obviously more ways to go about it, but we've always felt like whenever there is a woman present there, he sort of forgets that he's in trouble. And he gets into a very different kind of trouble. So yeah, yeah, we felt like he was very very much. I wouldn't say it's not like Casanova or anything, but in the play there is a sentence, and we have sort of played around with that idea that uh, being accused or being guilty makes you attractive.
Okay.
And there is a short monologue by the lawyer Holt as he's watching, voyeuring basically, them in the shadow play, and he talks about like there is something in like um, inconceivable, but it's there. The people are attracted to the accused.
This is actually true in a way because now I'm remembering real cases of criminals who were in jail and they started receiving letters, love letters.
Yeah.
I want to escape with you. I want to rescue and go.
It's the original bad boy, right?
But we could see it there in this play, and I didn't remember that in the book. Maybe it is there. It is there in a way, but I didn't.
Well, we you can't ever fit everything in the book into 2 hours, and we don't want to go into over 2 hours because again you have to respect the audience.
Of course, of course. But I think that those times, those moments were quite relaxing in a play which is quite gray and dark, and also this element you used of placing one of the actors in the audience. He was this British
Yeah.
actor. He was like resting in the middle of the audience, and suddenly he starts speaking very loudly. So it's like
Well, but these are basic rules of theater. This is not something like revolutionary or anything. There always needs to be rising and falling action and the pace, and don't know the word for it in English actually. It's I suppose it's pace. In Slovak, it's a temporitmus. It's like tempo and the rhythm.
okay, tempo. No, that's
Yeah. Well, it's the two words is the tempo rhythm.
okay.
It's like the combination of these two, and it's basically you. If you just go down into the spiral of darkness, people get bored. If and it's like when you make a big shout out of a silence, it gets everybody's attention. If you shout for 5 minutes, it gets boring. You can't keep one line of anything because then it's just repetitive, and well, tensions, yeah, they I never actually considered that his love interests were uh, like lightening the mood, but why not?
Yeah, I just heard some laughs,
Oh
people
yeah.
laughing and making comments. So it was very interesting, and I think that we can discuss a little bit Kafka because this week, well, he was born on the 3rd of July, 1883, if I'm not mistaken. I hope that Kafka fans are not going to kill me if I make any mistake. But I think that, well, many people know about his life, his history. He died, and many of his books were not published there. It was his friend Max Brod the one who decided to not respect his will of destroying the books. And in the end, finally, we have the trial, for instance. We have this theater play, otherwise we wouldn't have it. Does that make you think anything about art in general? Is it art fair in a way? Does art find its way to appear in front of the audiences when it's worth it?
Well, depends. Some people are so brilliant that they will not be understood until many years later. You know, like I think we're very quick to judge stuff these days. Like, oh, this is ugly. This is. Most of the like revolutionary artists were not understood in their era, so they gain appreciation much later. Like I think Van Gogh sold like one painting. I think maybe zero. Yeah. So whether it's fair or not, some people are just born geniuses, and the world needs some time to catch up. You know, if you're a physicist, if you're an Einstein, you invent something and you help people, so you push them forward. With art, it's a little bit different. You need to wait for the people to evolve enough to appreciate the art, I suppose.
Well, if you're a genius, the world needs time to catch up. That's very interesting.
I think so, because like when you look at it's like some were lucky enough to be understood or appreciated, and but many of the amazing artists were really not appreciated in their time, and it's for us to try to not judge too quickly what is happening now. And it's funny with everything. It's with architecture, like, oh, that is a horrible building, and now we look at the functionalism, and now all of a sudden it's not so horrible. It's interesting. Functionalism. 10 years ago, everybody hated that.
True, true. In the case of Kafka, apparently he wanted to be understood, but apparently he didn't want to be famous. What do you think about that? Because in life, if you're a theater director and you don't show your art, if you don't promote it, you don't get to do it. Actually.
Yeah. Well, as a director, I have an advantage. I sit behind. Nobody has to see me. That there is a big advantage in that. And you have the actors who will be in that spotlight. So, and those are usually people who don't mind getting spotlight. So yeah, it's. I think for directors, it's actually easier if you choose not to be the face of everything. It's not that difficult.
And how do you show your art if you don't show your face, if you don't talk about it, if you don't?
Well, I'm talking about it now.
I'm not accusing you of anything.
I'm trying to get better at this.
You're here.
I used to refuse to be like the face of the drama queens. I thought the group itself or the brand itself will speak louder than me, because it's. I always believe, like, let your work talk about what you are or who you are, rather than giving long speeches about how amazing we are and everything. I'd rather have my work or our work to speak for ourselves, and I think it's better that way. Yeah? Where people tend to overvalue the person rather than the thing that they're doing.
If we could think of an idea or something that has inspired you from Kafka's life or his work, is there anything that comes to mind, or not specifically? Is it the experience of reading the books, of working with his book to create this theater play?
No,
it's a tough question.
That is a tough
you need
question.
time to think about it.
I don't really think about it in this philosophical way so much. For me, it's if it speaks to me, then it speaks to me, and we work and on it for a year, and we try to interpret, and we have year worth of discussions about how are we taking on this character, and but ultimately, like theater especially is much more physical art for me than a philosophical one. I don't really do theater, or I didn't do Kafka to send a message. I just thought it's something that speaks to me. I didn't do it to, preach. Just I thought it's relevant, and that's how you know it's a great writer if after like 100 years of since his death, still relevant. And yeah, we did Animal Farm last year by Orwell. That is still relevant. Yeah, and well, unfortunately so, but that's how you know the great artists if their work doesn't get old.
Okay, how can people know more about the Drama Queens Theater? What should they do?
Well, we do have a website as thedramaquiz.cz, or there's a Facebook and Instagram. And we are doing some fun stuff, hopefully in August, because right now all of us need a bit of rest after this, because we've been together every day for last month and a half, basically. So we're taking a short break for the summer. But in August, we will probably do other like drama games. We do this community stuff. We have our own rehearsal space which we do everything ourselves. We built the stage, we designed the stage, we constructed. The girls were sewing those strips of fabric up until midnight several days in a row, and so we will have some drama games and some activities, and then in September we will start a new project, and it's sort of a community, and we work on it together.
Great. Hopefully the community will continue growing.
Oh, thank you.
Martin, thank you very much for coming to the radio. It was a pleasure.
Me too. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.